When we look back at 1997 and the Bringing Them Home report, it spoke all that needed to be said about the experience of the stolen generations. It spoke with elegance and it spoke with fact. And one of its 54 recommendations was that there be a formal national apology to the stolen generations. But this was to fall on deaf ears at the time. There is a key quote in the cabinet documents of the time along these lines: a formal apology to Indigenous Australians affected by, and I quote, family separation, unquote, was judged not to be appropriate given the practices at the time were believed to be in the best interests of the children, unquote. That was the position of the Howard cabinet. And I would ask Mr. Howard to reflect today on a simple question, which is, if it is so easy for us today to appropriate the positive things from our history, like Anzac, where we had no direct involvement whatsoever, but we happily appropriate the Anzac legend for our identity and our future, why is it so difficult for us to acknowledge and equally accept responsibility for the negative elements of our history, such as the appalling saga of the stolen generations? You see, you cannot just be selective in what we retrieve from history. Retrieve the legends which make us feel good and sweep under the carpet the facts that legitimately make us feel bad. You see, this would all be a matter of history, except that it is still part and parcel of where we are today. You see, what Mr. Howard has said most recently on the release, I was not in favour of an apology for a couple of reasons. The first one was that the idea of one generation apologising for the acts of another is an empty gesture. And if you apologise for your own behaviour, that has meaning, but I think it's a very empty thing for one generation to say, well, we apologise for something that was done by other people. That, said Mr. Howard, was just meaningless, unquote. The fact that the Howard government opposed the apology back in 2001, of course, is a matter of documentary record. But what I find difficult about where we land today is that this attitude has not changed as far as Mr. Howard's view of the world in 2022. Mr. Howard is a person of great standing in the Liberal Party of Australia. After Sir Robert Menzies, the second longest serving Conservative Prime Minister of Australia. I would like to use this occasion today, the 14th anniversary of the apology, but also the 20th anniversary of those cabinet decisions, to make an appeal to Mr. Howard to reflect on his position today, to ask him to consider a change of heart, to ask him to reflect on whether in fact it's possible that he might just have got this one completely wrong. And I say that with not a sense of settling old historical scores, not at all. That was done in the 2007 election. I say it today because Mr. Howard's voice counts for much in the Conservative side of politics today. Please, Mr. Howard, overcome your hardness of heart and join the nation in the important business of reconciliation, of which the apology is one major stepping stone.